What if I told you that in just 3 weeks, I helped a regular guy turn his entire dating life around and have a woman who once barely noticed him, now completely drawn to him? Despite trying to impress her with expensive gifts and bombarding her with endless texts, she remained uninterested. But after he started using the strategies I'm about to share, she became eager for his attention and couldn't get enough of him. Over the past 7 years, I've worked with countless individuals who struggled to connect with the women they wanted, not because they weren't worthy of love, but because they were using the wrong methods. Today, for the very first time, I'm revealing the most powerful, game-changing techniques that blend dark psychology with timeless Stoic philosophy. This is a powerful fusion of modern mental mastery and ancient wisdom. This isn't about cheap tricks or manipulation. It's about understanding how to truly connect with a woman's emotions and guiding her in the most subtle, yet powerful way. After watching this video, you'll see relationships and human dynamics in a completely new light. You'll start to recognize the hidden signs you never noticed before. More importantly, you'll walk away with the most effective strategies to capture the heart of any woman you desire. Be sure to watch until the end, because the final technique I reveal is the ultimate secret, something that nearly every guy misses. The power of scarcity. Let's dive into one of the most potent principles in dark psychology, the power of scarcity. There's an undeniable truth most men miss. We desire what's hard to get. Think about the high-end designer bags women wait months or even years for, or the limited edition sneakers that sell out within minutes. It's not that these items are so much better than others. It's simply their rarity that makes them so attractive. But here's where most men go wrong when trying to attract women. They do the exact opposite. They're always available, reply to texts within seconds, and drop everything to spend time with her. They wonder why she doesn't see them as special. The ancient Stoics knew something vital. What's easy to get rarely holds much value. Marcus Aurelius said that a person's worth isn't measured by how much time they give, but by the quality of that time. So how can you use this wisdom in your approach to women? First, you need to build a life that's genuinely valuable, not just one that looks busy. When she texts you, instead of rushing to reply with, "Hey, what's up?" take a moment. Let her know you've been engaged in something meaningful, like, "Sorry, just wrapped up a meeting with clients. I can chat now." The delay isn't the trick. It's the reason behind the delay. You're making your time valuable. Next, focus on quality over quantity. A single memorable date filled with unexpected touches will have a far greater impact than several regular, forgettable hangouts. I once advised a client who used to meet a woman nearly every day, quick coffees, casual lunches. After shifting to once-a-week exceptional dates, she couldn't stop thinking about him between meetups. Here's the key takeaway. Scarcity isn't about playing games or pretending to be distant. It's about genuinely living a full, valuable life, so your time is naturally limited and sought after. I have a real-life example to show you how powerful this is. One of my clients had been chasing a woman for months to no avail. After applying this scarcity technique, he focused on advancing his career and investing in his personal interests. When he saw her, he made sure their time together was of the highest quality. Within just 3 weeks, she was the one chasing him for attention. The goal isn't to make yourself unapproachable, but to become someone who's worth pursuing. By combining dark psychology's scarcity principle with the Stoic focus on self-worth, you'll naturally radiate an allure that women can't resist. And this is only the first principle. Wait until you hear the next one. It takes things to a whole new level when paired with what we've just covered. 2. The influence of controlled indifference. Let's explore one of the most paradoxical yet incredibly effective principles in dark psychology, controlled indifference. This isn't about being cold or unfeeling. It's rooted in a deep understanding of human behavior, something the Stoics mastered long ago. As Epictetus wisely said, "He who is overly attached to his own life will be a slave to the emotions of others." This ancient wisdom beautifully aligns with modern psychological insights into what drives attraction and desire. Consider Michael, one of my recent clients. He was emotionally consumed by every little detail, the timing of her replies, the tone of her messages, and any shift in her behavior. If she took an hour to respond, he felt his world fall apart. if she was less enthusiastic. It completely ruined his day. Can you guess what happened? The more he fixated on her reactions, the more distant she became. So why does this principle work so well? It's simple. When you allow your emotions to be entirely dictated by someone else, you unintentionally signal that you are of lesser value. But when you maintain your emotional equilibrium, no matter what they do, you display an immense amount of inner strength and self-control. Here's how you can apply this powerful principle. First, embrace the Stoic practice of emotional independence. When she takes hours to respond, don't sit around waiting anxiously. Dive into your own interests and goals. When she seems aloof, stay calm and composed. Remember, it's not about faking indifference. It's about genuinely prioritizing your own life and sense of self-worth. Now, let me share a technique I call the mirror effect. Match her emotional investment exactly. If she sends a brief message, mirror that by keeping your reply brief. If she writes a heartfelt paragraph, you do the same. But here's the twist. Every so often, break the pattern. When she expects you to be engaged and eager, show a touch of nonchalance. When she thinks you're distant, surprise her with warmth. This creates a captivating push-pull dynamic that keeps her intrigued and thinking about you. I saw this work wonders for James, another client of mine. He used to overthink and analyze every interaction with the woman he liked. After adopting controlled indifference, something fascinating happened. The less he seemed emotionally invested, the more she craved his attention. But remember, this isn't about playing games. It's about getting to a place where your happiness and sense of self-worth are truly independent of anyone else's behavior. As Seneca put it, the greatest power we have is the power of indifference to what lies outside our own mind. Think about it. Who's more attractive, the person who lets their emotions be governed by your every action, or the one who values your presence but is equally content on their own? When you combine controlled indifference with the principles I've shared, you'll unlock an incredibly powerful dynamic. Stay tuned because the next technique builds on this, taking it to a whole new level. The art of crafting perceived value. Let's explore one of the most intriguing principles in dark psychology, the art of crafting perceived value. This isn't about pretending to be something you're not. It's about strategically showcasing your genuine worth in a way that sparks irresistible attraction. The Stoic philosophers grasped this concept long ago. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The value of a man lies not in what he shows to others, but in what he can accomplish." But here's where dark psychology adds an essential twist. It's not just about what you achieve, but how you present it to others. Take Alex, for instance, a successful lawyer who sought my help. Despite his impressive career, he struggled to keep women interested. His issue? He was too eager to flaunt his success, listing off his achievements like a resume. I introduced him to a game-changing principle. Mystery creates value, so how can you master this? Instead of boasting about your accomplishments, allow others to discover them naturally. Rather than telling her about that big promotion, let her overhear you on an important business call. Don't talk about how committed you are to your fitness routine. Let her see your discipline through your actions. Here's the dark psychology secret. People value what they discover on their own more than what they're told. When a woman uncovers something impressive about you, the emotional impact is far stronger than if you had simply boasted about it. Now let's take it a step further. The Stoic practice of modestly underplaying your achievements actually amplifies their value. When you achieve something noteworthy but mention it in a humble, almost offhand way, it creates a magnetic curiosity. I once worked with a client who was a self-made millionaire. He was used to talking about his success, but I coached him to take the opposite approach. Instead of focusing on his own accomplishments, he shifted the conversation to others, showed genuine interest in their stories, and only revealed his own success when directly asked. The result? People couldn't get enough of him. They became fascinated by the mystery surrounding him, constantly trying to learn more. Here's a powerful technique I teach, the value vacuum. Instead of pushing information about yourself, set up situations where others are naturally drawn to ask about you. When they have to work to learn about your worth, they'll value it more. But here's the key point, and where many men make mistakes, this isn't about lying or pretending. Every bit of value you reveal must be real. As Seneca wisely said, The false will falter, but the truth will endure. The art is in revealing your true worth, but doing so in a way that piques curiosity and keeps them wanting more. What makes this principle so powerful is its ability to create a snowball effect. When people begin to see you as valuable, they treat you with more respect and admiration. This new treatment doesn't go unnoticed by others, which further enhances your perceived value. It's a cycle of attraction that feeds itself, and once it starts, it can be incredibly powerful. But here's the warning. With great power comes great responsibility. When you master this technique, the attraction it generates can be overwhelming. You'll need to be mindful of how you use it. And what's next? I've got a technique that amplifies this principle even further. Stick around, because what I'm about to reveal will take everything you've learned to a whole new level. The art of building psychological dependency. We're now diving into one of the most potent areas of dark psychology, the art of creating psychological dependency. This isn't about toxic manipulation. It's about understanding the deep psychological patterns that foster lasting emotional connections. There's a profound truth that blends ancient Stoic wisdom with modern psychological insights. Human bonds aren't formed through constant pleasure, but through the delicate balance of presence and absence, certainty and uncertainty. Think about the most addictive mobile games. They don't reward you endlessly. They offer just enough to keep you hooked while always hinting at something more. This same principle can be applied to emotional attachment, but with much greater depth. Let me share a story about David, a client of mine. He was the ideal boyfriend, always there, endlessly loving, incredibly supportive. Yet over time, his girlfriend started to lose interest. Why? There was no emotional contrast, no psychological tension, no space for desire to build. So how do you master this principle? The first step is to create emotional highs and lows. When you're with her, be fully present. Engage with her. Create unforgettable moments. But then create strategic space, not by playing games, but by genuinely focusing on your own life and personal goals. As the Stoics wisely taught, the bow that is always drawn will soon break. The key is this. People don't become psychologically attached to those who are always around, but to those who create powerful experiences and then step away, giving room for longing to grow. Here's a technique I call emotional time dilation. When you're together, make time seem to fly by with engaging conversation and activities. When you're apart, stretch out the time in her mind, allowing her space to miss you. But here's where many men falter. They try to force this pattern artificially. As Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Your absence should come from real self-growth and pursuing your own excellence, not from playing mind games. I worked with a client who turned his relationship around by embracing this principle. Instead of texting his girlfriend all day, he focused on one deeply engaging conversation each evening. The anticipation of these moments became the highlight of her day. The true power of this principle lies in how it creates a feedback loop. As she begins to feel a pull toward you, she starts investing more emotionally in the relationship. The more she invests, the deeper her psychological attachment grows. But here's the crucial ethical point. With this kind of influence comes great responsibility. You're not just playing with someone's emotions, you're engaging with their well-being. Use this knowledge to create healthy, mutually fulfilling connections, not to manipulate or cause harm. What comes next makes this principle even more powerful, as it taps into one of the most profound human needs of all: the art of reading and leading psychological states. What I'm about to reveal might be the most advanced principle yet: the art of reading and leading someone's psychological state. This is where dark psychology merges with Stoic observation, giving you a powerful tool to not only understand, but also subtly guide the emotional currents of others. Let me share something most men overlook. Women's actions rarely align perfectly with their words, not because they're being deceptive, but because human psychology functions on multiple levels. The Stoics had a profound insight into this, understanding that people are disturbed not by external events, but by their perception of those events. I once had a client named James who was constantly bewildered by the mixed signals from his love interest. She would say she needed space but then act distant when he gave it to her. She'd claim she wanted confidence yet seemed drawn to moments of vulnerability. The issue wasn't her inconsistency. It was his failure to read the deeper psychological patterns at play. So how do you master this principle? The first step is to develop what I call psychological sight. Instead of merely listening to someone's words, learn to observe the subtle cues, like what causes their pupils to dilate, the micro expressions that flash across their face, or how their voice tone changes slightly. These unconscious signals are honest. They never lie. Let me introduce a powerful technique I teach called the echo method. When you notice a certain emotional state in someone, mirror it subtly. If they're excited, match their energy just slightly. If they're thoughtful, adjust your tone to align with theirs. But here's where it gets even more powerful. Once you've matched their emotional state, begin to gently lead them where you want them to go. The psychological secret here is that people are most suggestible to those who they believe understand them on a deep level. When someone feels you truly understand their emotional state, they naturally follow your lead. I showed this technique to a client who was struggling with a woman who seemed emotionally unpredictable. Instead of reacting to her surface-level emotions, I taught him how to decipher the underlying patterns. He discovered that her apparent coldness was often a way of testing his emotional security, and that her anger sometimes hid vulnerability. And here's where Stoic wisdom truly shines. Seneca taught that the best response to anger is often silence. Knowing when not to react is just as powerful as any action you might take. Sometimes the most effective move is the one you don't make. But here's the essential point, and this is key to using this power responsibly. Mastering the art of reading someone's psychological state gives you significant influence over their emotional world. Use this skill to foster deeper understanding and connection, not to manipulate or control. The highest level of mastery in this principle is what I call psychological chess, the ability to read not only the current emotional state, but to anticipate emotional responses several moves ahead. This is where true mastery comes into play. However, be cautious. What I'm about to share next takes this principle to an even deeper level, tapping into unconscious triggers that even the most self-aware individuals can't resist. The power of strategic silence. Let me introduce you to one of the most underappreciated tools in dark psychology, the power of strategic silence. This isn't about simply being quiet. It's about harnessing the psychological tension that silence creates when wielded with precision. The Stoics understood this concept deeply. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "Better to say nothing than to speak without purpose." But dark psychology takes this age-old wisdom to a much more impactful level. I'll tell you about Michael, one of my most successful clients. He used to fill every moment of uncertainty with words. When a woman showed doubt about him, he would bombard her with long explanations. If she pulled away, he'd flood her inbox with messages. I taught him a powerful lesson. The most effective response is often no response at all. Here's the reason this works on such a profound psychological level. Humans are naturally meaning-making machines. When faced with silence, our minds race to fill the void with interpretations, often building more meaning around the silence than words could ever create. This is what I call psychological echo, where your silence forces others to confront their own thoughts and emotions about you. Now let me teach you how to wield this principle. There are 3 types of strategic silence you need to master. Response silence. When someone expects an immediate reaction from you. Presence. Silence. When you're physically present, but emotionally distant or unavailable. Distance. Silence. When you step away temporarily, removing yourself from their radar. The power lies in knowing which type to use and when. I had a client who effortlessly turned a woman's lukewarm interest around just by remaining silent after she made a mildly dismissive comment. His silence spoke louder than words ever could, and within hours she was reaching out to gauge his reaction. Here's where dark psychology blends with Stoic wisdom. Your silence must come from strength, not weakness. As Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When you choose silence, it should be an intentional, calculated choice, not an impulsive emotional response. One of the most powerful techniques I teach is what I call the vacuum effect. When someone tries to draw you into a conversation or an emotional exchange, create a deliberate void. This vacuum can pull them in stronger than any words could ever do. But here's the catch. Strategic silence requires precision. Like a finely honed blade, it can either be a potent weapon or a dangerous liability. When used carelessly, it can do irreversible damage to relationships. But when used with skill and awareness, it creates deep attraction and immense respect. I've seen this principle work wonders for my clients. For instance, one man was involved with a woman who constantly tested his boundaries. Rather than engaging with her emotional manipulation, he embraced the power of calculated silence. The result? She began treating him with a level of respect she had never shown anyone before. Remember, though, this isn't about being distant or cold. It's about recognizing that your silence, when strategically applied, speaks louder than words. As the saying goes, no one ever regretted not saying something. But here's the kicker. What I'm about to share next will make this principle even more potent, because it explains how to break that silence in ways that generate maximum impact. 7. Control through freedom. Now let me share with you one of the most sophisticated principles of all, the art of control through perceived freedom. This is where dark psychology reaches its peak, blending with Stoic wisdom to form a truly powerful tool. The greatest paradox in human psychology is this. People crave freedom, yet they are often most drawn to what they can't fully control. Let me explain how to master this delicate balance. I once worked with a client named Robert who couldn't understand why women kept pulling away, despite his deep feelings for them. His issue? He tried to control everything, their time, attention, decisions. I taught him something counterintuitive. True power lies in offering freedom while maintaining influence. Here's how it works. Instead of saying, let's meet Friday at 8, try, I'm free Friday evening and next Tuesday. What works better for you? You're still in control of the options, but she feels like she's making the choice. This is what I call guided freedom. The Stoics understood this paradox well. Seneca once wrote, "The greatest power is the power to set others free." But here's the dark psychology twist. When you give someone freedom, they often choose to stay closer than if you tried to hold them in place. I have a technique called the freedom bind. When you sense someone pulling away, instead of tightening your grip, you expand their freedom. For example, say, I understand you need space. Take all the time you need to figure out what you want. This creates a psychological boomerang effect. The more freedom you offer, the more they may want to stay. However, here's the crucial part. This must be genuine. You can't fake detachment. As Marcus Aurelius advised, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. When you truly embrace giving freedom, you unlock a level of power that controlling behavior can never achieve. I've seen this shift entire relationships. One client was dealing with a woman who was commitment phobic. The more he tried to force commitment, the more she resisted. But when he learned to genuinely accept her freedom, something fascinating happened. She started seeking commitment from him. Remember, though, this isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding a deep human truth. People value what they choose freely over what they're coerced into. By mastering this principle, you can create an influence far more powerful than any attempt at control. More powerful than control is what I call choice architecture. It's about structuring situations where others make the choices you prefer, not because you force them, but because you understand and align with their natural inclinations. But here's the warning. This principle requires emotional maturity. You must genuinely be willing to let go. If you're only pretending to give freedom while internally needing control, people will sense your inauthenticity. This is where our journey through these principles comes full circle. When you combine all 7, from scarcity to freedom, you create a presence that's nearly irresistible, not because you're trying to manipulate, but because you understand the deepest patterns of human psychology. And remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Use these principles to foster genuine connections and positive relationships, not to manipulate or harm. The most attractive quality is authenticity combined with understanding. As we near the end of this journey through dark psychology and Stoic wisdom, let me share something profound. The principles I've taught you aren't just about attracting women. They're about understanding the deepest aspects of human psychology and using them with wisdom and purpose. Think back to where you were at the beginning of this video. Perhaps you were struggling to understand why your efforts weren't working, why the women you desired seemed uninterested despite your best intentions. Now you possess something far more valuable than just techniques. You have understanding. You've learned the art of scarcity, the power of calculated indifference, how to create perceived value, how to master psychological dependency, the skill of reading and leading psychology, the power of strategic silence, and finally, the delicate art of control through freedom. But remember this crucial truth. With great power comes great responsibility. These principles work, sometimes almost too well. I've seen men transform from being invisible to women to having almost too much influence over them. This is why the Stoic element is so important. It keeps you grounded, ethical, and focused on genuine connection instead of manipulation. Let me leave you with one final case study. James, my most successful client, didn't just use these principles to attract the woman he wanted. He used them to build a relationship of real depth and mutual respect. When I asked him the secret to his success, he said something profound. I stopped trying to make her want me and started becoming someone worth wanting. That is the essence of everything we've discussed today. These dark psychology principles show you how human attraction works, while Stoic wisdom teaches you how to apply this knowledge ethically and effectively. Before I wrap this up, let me offer one last warning. What I've shared today is powerful. Use it wisely, use it ethically, and most importantly, use it to create genuine connections, not just to feed your ego. For those of you who want to go deeper into these principles, I'll soon be releasing an advanced series. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss it. The techniques I'll share in that series will make everything we've discussed today seem basic by comparison. Remember, true power isn't about control, it's about understanding yourself, others, and the delicate dance of human psychology. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.